Beyond Two Souls is a narrative adventure game created by developer Quantic Dream. Unfortunately, it doesn't live up to the high bar set by the developer's best games, namely Heavy Rain and Detroit Become Human. Bland characters, flaky gameplay, and a slow, plodding story make it hard to recommend to anyone but diehard fans of the genre. The game explores the life of Jodie Holmes, played by Elliot Page, a young woman with a paranormal connection to a mysterious entity named Aiden. Jodie and Aiden are inseparable, and their relationship is a bit tumultuous. While you ultimately discover Aiden's origins near the end of the game, he is mostly silent and never really develops much of a personality of his own. He mostly exists to give Jodie telekinetic powers, and occasionally to possess other humans. Jodie spent most of her childhood in a supervised laboratory environment, where scientists studied her and her connection to Aiden. The lead researcher, Nathan Dawkins, portrayed by Willem Dafoe, acts as a surrogate father to Jodie, who never met her biological parents. Another researcher named Cole Freeman remains a lifelong friend to Jodie. When Jodie turns 18, she is forced to join the CIA. Apparently, the government basically owns her at this point. In the CIA, Jodie takes part in a couple missions, with Aiden acting as her secret weapon. Being an invisible ghost, he is able to sneak into places Jodie can't. Throughout her life, she helps the government to contain portals to the infraworld. The game never explains what exactly the infraworld is, other than it seems to be inhabited by the spirits of the dead. Some of these spirits are friendly, and some of them seem to be demonic. Some of the spirits may not have formerly been human, but the game never really expands upon this point. Jodie is the most interesting character in the game, though she lacks personality. She has spent most of her life in a lab, and her character is mostly defined by her relationship with Aiden, who himself is rather bland. Overall, the game failed to get me to really care about its characters. This is probably its biggest flaw, as this kind of game really lives or dies depending on the quality of its story. By default, the game's story unfolds anachronistically. It also offers the option to play in chronological order. Neither way is perfect, but I definitely preferred playing the game in chronological order. Without it, the game really depends on the strength of individual scenes to carry it, and the writing just isn't that strong. There's some really hammy and odd dialogue that I'm surprised made it into the game.
I never wanted to invite her. My mom made me.
Yeah, she's a slut. A slut and a witch.
The story is at its best when you take the most extreme actions possible. At one point, Jodie is being bullied by some teenagers at a party, and you can either leave or retaliate. Having Aiden set the house on fire is way more fun than just walking away. Most of the choices you make don't feel as impactful as the ones in the game's predecessor, Heavy Rain. The majority of the significant ones revolve around whether or not characters live or die, but the writing is so shallow I didn't find myself really caring what happened in the end. Yes, the story is quite weak. I guess I'm just beyond caring. Unfortunately, the gameplay also stumbles compared to Heavy Rain. The directional prompts have been removed, instead favoring white dots. The player is supposed to intuit which direction to move the analog stick, judging by their position relative to Jodie. This system does not work very well, and I found myself pushing the stick in the wrong direction more often than I should. Worse than this, some of the action sequences don't have any UI indicators at all. The player is supposed to infer what direction to move the stick based on the direction of an enemy's or object's swing. The problem is, sometimes Jodie is supposed to move toward an object to block it, and sometimes she is supposed to move away from an object to dodge it, but there is no way to know which is the correct way in a given situation. Overall, the controls feel clumsy and feel like a step back compared to Heavy Rain. Controlling Aiden is serviceable, but could be better. There are times it's not clear which direction to move the sticks. One of the most annoying activities consists of using both sticks to line up an object's aura with Jodie's head so she can see a vision. The controls for these moments feel especially awkward. It may have been intentional, given you are controlling a disembodied spirit, but that doesn't mean it feels good to play. Aiden is most fun to control when he is working against Jodie. Knocking over a glass or blowing out a candle against Jodie's wishes can imbue him with a little bit of a cheeky personality that he sorely needs. There are some simple stealth sections that consist of peering around corners and running when the coast is clear. These are unremarkable, but control surprisingly well. If you have played Quantic Dream's other interactive narrative-style games and are expecting more of a good thing, you might find yourself disappointed with Beyond Two Souls. The game lacks the emotional punch of Quantic's best efforts and sits firmly in last place behind Fahrenheit Indigo Prophecy as their least successful attempt at the genre. If you keep your expectations in check, you may find some charm buried behind all the jank and boredom. Apparently, Elliot Page has acquired the rights to turn Beyond into a TV series. If such a show learns from the mistakes of the game's plot, it could prove to be a better experience than the game. Quantic Dream is currently developing a Star Wars game. I know they have the ability to make great games, and I'm really looking forward to it. Feel free to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.